I'm back with David, and he's going to tell us about his early life around what was it?
From about the middle of the 60s.
Right.
As far as we can reach.
Yes, go on.
Up to the time being.
Take it away.
The big difference to kibbutz and to Israel came in 1967, when we had what became famously known as the Six-Day War.
Right.
It was in fact a war of defense. It is chiefly remarkable in that within 6 days the Israeli armed forces managed to finish the whole thing with the total defeat of the enemy forces around us, which came from almost all, in fact all of our Arab neighbors.
Yeah.
Some of them rather larger than we ourselves.
Like Egypt.
Like Egypt, like Syria, yes. It was a surprise to everybody.
And you were in the army?
Oh, yes, of course.
During the Six-Day War or before?
I was in the army, but I was not in an active part in the army. I was there to be called up as reserves, if necessary. In fact, every Israeli immigrant in those days was automatically inducted into the army at some point or other. Our kibbutz, especially since it was situated very near the Syrian border.
Oh, Syrian? Uh-huh.
Yes. So everybody was officially in the army.
Right.
The Six-Day War, as I said, took us all by surprise. Probably not the government, because they must have had very, very specific plans. The heroes were General Moshe Dayan, who later became Minister of Defense, and now yet another General, Rabin, who became Prime Minister at a later date. It was an enormous rush of euphoria. But together with this rush of euphoria and the feeling that we had progressed from being a little victimized state country to a victorious, powerful, and world-famous state, caused an enormous change also in the way Israel felt about itself. The cohesion, which was partly a result of poor social, economic conditions and a feeling of being a victim, became...
well, what do you mean, a victim? Can you explain that?
The victim of all the people who wished us out of the way.
Such as?
All the Arab countries around us.
Does that include Jordan as well?
Including
Because
Jordan.
you were on pretty good terms with Jordan,
Well,
weren't
we are
you?
now. But ultimately we were seen as an outpost of Western imperialism, which we were, and the unanswerable question to those who put us there or those who allowed us to be there is, why didn't you solve your problems, that means the Holocaust and the refugees, within your own area? Why dump them on us? Because that's what it was felt to be. And I can't answer that question because...
What about the
no
British
answer.
mandate?
Well, that was it. The British mandate...
Balfour Declaration.
Absolutely. But nobody asked the Arabs about it.
I mean, the British have got a lot to answer for, haven't they?
Amongst other people, yes. But in fact, the scramble was for oil more than anything else.
Oil? Where was the oil?
The oil was in the Arab countries.
Yes.
When the Turkish Empire was broken up in 1918, or before 1918...
The Ottoman Empire.
The Ottoman Empire. The British and French between them decided on spheres of
Carving
influence,
up, yes.
carving up the Middle East.
Yes.
That upset everything for everybody. And the Balfour Declaration was only a small part of that, which was only a declaration signed by Arthur Balfour to the representative, as it were, of the Jewish people, that something would be done.
Something. What was that something?
Something was not specified.
Aha.
a homeland for the Jews.
Yes,
it
yes,
did not
the
mean,
promised land.
It did not. No, it did not specify the promised land. It just said a homeland for the Jews. Everything else was just. That's the way everybody wanted to see it. It suited the British and the French because it meant they could keep a foot in the Middle East. It suited the British particularly because Palestine was seen as being the road to India, which of course the English.
You mean
British,
the Silk Route?
No. The
not
road
the
to
Silk.
India was a road leading, not an actual road,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a route leading through the Fertile Crescent of Palestine, along across Egypt and to India,
Oh, okay,
across the Gulf, and so forth.
okay. Anyway, back to the kibbutz.
Yeah, at the back, after '67, we went through through several years of expansion and prosperity comparative to what had been earlier, and a feeling of national pride, and not just that we were saving the remnants of something, but that we had something to save. That all ended when the second round of the wars came in 1973.
What was the name of that war?
The name of that war was the Yom Kippur War, because that's the day it started.
The Day of
The
Atonement.
Day of Atonement. It turned out to be an atonement for Israel for a great many things that had happened between the wars.
And who attacked who?
It was initially the Egyptians and the Syrians,
Oh,
that is two opposite sides of the country,
yeah.
attacked in a concerted fashion. We were found unprepared
Just on one day?
on one day.
Any particular reason?
Well, it was Yom Kippur. The reason being that the military services would be at the least prepared.
Yes, but
every Jew observes Yom
were
Kippur.
they after the land?
They were after getting rid of Israel off the face of the map.
Oh, I see. I didn't know this.
It after all, had only been there for 20 years. There's
Yes,
no
yes,
reason why-
yes,
or
yes.
30 years. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to expand it.
So this only lasted one day?
No, it started on Yom Kippur.
And how long
went
did it
on
last?
For about 3 months,
3 months.
yes.
And who won?
That's in dispute. We know that we took a pasting.
Yeah.
The Egyptians, less so the Syrians, but the Egyptians could claim it as a victory.
Was that to do with Gaza?
And it was to do with Gaza, but only incidentally, from my point of view. It led in the end to our surrender of Sinai, the Sinai,
The
which we had conquered.
Golan Heights?
No, that was the Golan Heights, which we had conquered in the previous war,
Right.
and it led to us being repelled from the Suez Canal, which was a victory for the Egyptians. The fact that the Israelis couldn't get across the Suez Canal
Yes, yes.
was an enormous moral victory for the Egyptians.
Now, who was the
That
Prime
was
Minister?
Sadat.
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 Yes.
In the wake of their renewed confidence,
He became friendly with Israel, didn't he?
in the wake of their renewed confidence in themselves, Sadat decided to make peace offers to Israel. And in fact, he came himself personally to speak to the Israelis and to their parliament.
Right.
It was an amazing event, something we had never expected in our lives, and we will certainly never forget.
Thank you, David. And that